topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
And welcome to Triversity Talk. I am so happy to be with you on this Wednesday evening. You could be doing anything, but you're here with me, and that really, really means a lot. So I know this show is broadcast all over the country, so I don't know if you're celebrating Pride or not, because as many of you know, Pride is not just in June anymore. We're now having Pride celebrations in June, July, and August. My gosh, maybe there's even some in September. But you know what? I think that is absolutely fabulous because this past Sunday, I got to perform and co-host in Bronx Pride. And it was just absolutely inspiring. Our performers, so many like young LGBTQ kids, they don't have any musical or dance training, and they're absolutely unbelievable. And I love seeing that because that tells you that people are really tapping into who they are creatively. And it was just such a great community event. You know, Pride brings people together. And that's one of the reasons we celebrate Pride. And we celebrate our allies too. So if you're celebrating Pride out there, yay, good for you. So, I'm excited about tonight's guest because have you all been following this stuff about the Barbie film? I don't know if you all played with Barbies when you were younger, but it took me a while to get a Barbie. I had Skipper, the little sister, the little wannabe Barbie. But, Barbie for many of us was really, it identified our childhoods and it really made us into aspiring. I really hate saying this, to be like Barbie. Now that like I've got my head screwed on straight, I realize that was not the best image in the world. But I have heard that the new Barbie movie that's coming out, I think it's July 19th. Oh, maybe it's today, is really a great story about Barbie, and they kind of make fun, not at Barbie, but the whole concept of Barbie and how it came to be and how so many people identified with Barbie. And I bring this up because our guest tonight, I was so fortunate to just go through and look at some of his videos. And I want to thank my friend, music publisher Patrick Conceal, for introducing me to him. But I loved his videos. They were Barbie-esque, you know, they had colors in them that could have been Barbie colors with pinks and aquas. And there's a pink Jeep in one of them. And it just warmed my heart. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about tonight's guest. Now, I didn't write this, but it was a really cool intro. With an electro pop sound of 80s euphoria from Ken doll fantasies to suburban cult nightmares, find out why this LGBTQ artist has been hailed by V Magazine as an artist that absolutely needs to be on your radar. Music Insider called his music a total masterpiece. God, do I love that. And recent placements on HBO Max, and Amazon Prime echo his popularity. So please welcome Gregory Dillon.
Oh my God.
I
feel like I should be doing the full Barbie.
Right? You got to do the whole, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Truly, this is our first time truly meeting, and I've already seen and kind of experienced you a little bit, but you are like, you should be in the Barbie movie. You are iconic.
Thank
First
you.
moment I met you, I was like, I am ready for this date.
Oh my God.
Blind.
Isn't it great when it works out like that? Because not every interview, I interview all kinds of people, and I'm lucky I have a personality that could just, morph. I need whoever I need to be. But when I saw your videos and how you drew up things from your childhood that obviously left a mark on you now as a recording artist, and that you're using all of that in the current work that you're doing, I just positively loved it. So Greg and Dillon, welcome here tonight to Triversity Talk.
No.
So I don't know if you know anything about this show derived from our organization. It's an LGBTQ organization that services the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, and the more rural areas. We used to be called the Upper Delaware GLBT, and now we changed it to Triversity Talk. Well, Triversity for tri-state. But I have guests on from all over the country, and we broadcast all over the country because what we're doing, we're moving, we're shaking, and we want to get messages out there. And I was really thrilled to hear about you because you identify as a queer artist, and that's important. And there was, from what I read, there were things that repressed you in your childhood, and it's kind of like, wow, you're living your best self right now.
No, that's what I call tears of my childhood suburbia. I mean, truly, it's becoming very full circle. I got to brief with you very fast that I am staying. I lived in Brooklyn for 6 years, and that really helped me kind of look back at my childhood with this introspection.
You were in Williamsburg, you said,
yeah,
right?
Bushwick, Williamsburg.
Right.
I mean, Diversity Central. There's just so much to feel confident about yourself when you see everyone else living so fully. And it really made me look back to like when I was a kid. I mean, the expression that I had was in the basement doing my mom's workout tapes. Like no one saw. And it's funny.
No, but so many people, listen, they're closeted in the basement. They're trying to be who they are, but they can't let anybody else know about it.
I know. I mean, thank God for the firm, though. I got some buns of steel, but.
Okay, so I had Tammy Lee Webb on my show, and she is the person that, yes, I know. Oh my God, look, you're flipping out. So she's the one that came up with the whole concept of buns of steel. And yeah, so you were doing buns of steel in your basement in New Hampshire?
In New Hampshire on Farmer Road. We had a John Deere tractor. There was a farm near us. It was kind of like a farm meets suburbia. And it's funny because you were saying that you were working out to my track. It's my origin story, which I tell a lot, is my mom used to teach cardio step aerobics. Like,
oh, you're kidding! Wow.
Full John, the Fonda attire. And,
right, leg warmers and the whole like
absolutely. Fonda. And so I would beg her to go back and sit and watch all of the women do their thing on the step box, and she would play all of the 80s, Jane Fonda, Depeche Mode, all of that, plus like the workout mix versions, and I would be in heaven. I would just watch and like just be giddy. So I would, when I got older as a teen, all of those were gathering dust, like the Firm, all of the workout tapes. And it's when I started just like putting them in and then working out to this like cardio music. I think it was kind of infused, like I was living my gay fantasy. So
how old were you when that happened for you?
Oh man. I mean, I want to say probably 15, 16.
Wow. Adolescence. It was such a big, the Jane Fonda tape, the Firm, that all of those were such an influence on you. Wow.
Oh yeah. And then my dad would call me to go mow the lawn, and I would get up on the tractor, like sit back and like pretend nothing was happening downstairs.
Like you had to morph into Butch almost immediately.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, New Hampshire just had that effect on me. I felt like the neighborhood kids were not too gentle on me, so I toughened up outside of that basement. But it's so funny, the music that I have been writing in the past like few years is just really embraced the vulnerable, sensitive kid that I didn't get to really ever give that back to. And it's very funny because the album I'm now working on is I'm back in suburbia, and
how cool.
Yeah, but it's what I thought is like, I'm not Josie Grossi anymore. Like that whole thing is kind of like, while I was in Brooklyn living my truth, I was able to look at it fondly. And now that I'm in suburbia again, I'm like in the, the eye of the storm of like what I was feeling and the loneliness that can happen as
Do you
like there's
feel
no.
isolated how you're living in suburbia now? Is it making you feel
I
isolated?
was a little, it's a rise to action kind of feeling because like for Pride Month, I saw maybe two queer flags like around town, and it just made me feel like I want to live through this the way that I didn't get to. And I
Right.
think it's kind of causing a little bit of recklessness in my music. I don't feel worried to wear a pair of gargoyle wings to the Stop and Shop to get almond milk. Like I'm going for this.
That was going to be my suggestion. Exactly. I saw you like in one of your videos. I think it was one of the TikToks about heaven, and you have wings on, and you're in a car. I'm like, oh God, that could be me. I would do something like that.
I
So
see
yeah,
that.
you need to go to Stop and Shop with some wings on.
Oh, every time I get the chance, I'm really feeling it's kind of like a punk pop awakening where it's just
I like that.
living my truth, but I feel a little like it is feeling reckless, especially for suburbia. And
Right.
I'm not here to like fight with anybody, but I think the energy I'm bringing to the music is a little bit more angsty to really like say something. Where before I think I was speaking to myself from, I don't know, the past. Now I'm really challenging myself. Like time to do it now.
Right, exactly. But it's all an evolution, right?
Oh yeah.
It is. You've done quite a bit of work. I went on YouTube, and you've got, quite a bit of content out there. So when did you actually start performing, singing, and doing all of that?
I was really shy all through my grade school, all through high school. I actually would
Oh,
never let anyone see me perform. I would like, I went to Catholic school and I would be in the chapel.
of course you did.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
Catholic school boy, like the sexual angst.
Wow.
And I would
Wow.
go to the chapel after school, and like that would be the only place I would let myself play is kind of in isolation. So it wasn't until I feel like I moved to Brooklyn that it was a fresh start. I escaped this feeling of like being either different or weird. It was like that was all around me. And I was like, you know what, let's just try this. And it's funny to look back because you don't always acknowledge what you've done. My mom's always trying to be like self-endorse everything that you've done, like look
Your
at
mom,
it.
I'm right there with your mom. My mom always used to say, "Don't blow your own horn. Wait for someone else to do it." And what I learned is, you're going to be waiting for forever. They won't do it. Your mom's right. You got to self-endorse yourself, and it's not bragging. It's just taking who you are and your product, right, and putting it out there.
You're so sweet. I love for this kind of energy. I'm loving you, by the way. I
Oh
have
yeah,
some
I'm loving
questions
this.
for.
But so I need to do a timeline here. You were in Brooklyn for how long?
Let's say about 4.5 years I was in Brooklyn.
So you went from New Hampshire to Brooklyn?
I waited 1 week after college. I found a sublet in
Wow.
Harlem and I just moved in with a friend. I started waitering right
Yeah,
away.
you knew what you wanted to
Did
do.
the whole thing. And I was a musical theater major in college. I
Okay, yeah.
switched last year to music technology and classical music. I just was absorbing a lot. And
Where did you go to school, Gregory? Where'd you
this
go?
this tiny little school called Plymouth State University in New
And
Hampshire.
okay.
But it was a really beautiful program. Like I got to do a lot. And I think if I didn't go to school for musical theater, I would not have the theatrics that I'm going after.
No,
So
because I'm thinking, and you have the video we're going to show. I definitely see it. I'm like, oh my God, this is like an ecstasy fantasy person. You just look like you dropped some Molly and made
yes,
a video. I'm like, this is such a great dance video. But it's interesting to me because you did go to Catholic school. I would imagine, you're working out in your mom's basement. Nobody really knows who you are. And yeah, you probably some bullying in there. And yet, I love this story. I love when people emerge as who they are. And
very cocoon experience. And
right.
it's it's interesting because I still have that wallpapering on my childhood of like I was really connected. Music saved me, even though it may have been something that I was only okay with in isolation. I felt like a very spiritual, divine kind of
Connection.
angelic connection to it. And
Yeah.
the thing was, and this is something now that I also have a hard time dealing with it in as a pop artist, and how much music today is all related to fame and numbers. It's sometimes really tough to feel this almost like divine purpose, and yet this connection to like needing to prove it as like a thing on fame. And that's been an interesting part of the whole suburbia part, is this loneliness and how it's kind of a vortex for like it can eat you alive. And yeah, I think that the one thing I tend to remember is feeling like I didn't exactly know who to turn to. And um I'm not major, I'm not a big, superstar, but it's so rewarding when I get someone who I've never met say that they really connect to the music and that they have someone to look up to. And that's what's keeping me going. And that's the
Well,
thing.
you got to you first of all, I have to tell you, you got to keep creating it. It is very challenging. I know people your age in, your end of the business, and they're putting it out on Spotify like you are, and it is so hard because they're out there doing the live stuff as well. It's almost like you have to throw spaghetti in as many directions as you possibly can and hope that some of it sticks.
Yeah, penne, angel
Right.
hair,
I love it.
linguine.
Let's just throw some penne or spaghetti with vodka sauce and see what happens.
Oh, my mom used to make spinach pasta with cottage cheese. I don't know why that was my thing. Like,
To absolutely, absolutely to die for. So, have you been trying to do live performances as well?
yeah, that's become kind of my favorite element. I recently got back from a club tour, which was very new for me. Used to playing more of a live show experience with other band members, and it's always been theatrical, whether there's props, heavy aesthetic visuals. It's all very Y2K nostalgia vibes. But this club tour, I had to kind of think outside the box because it wasn't always an unconventional space to perform. And so with this song, I also wanted to kind of be kind of liberating. And the queer space, especially nightlife, is such a freeing place for exploration, sexuality, body
Oh,
contact.
and
So
it's support. So the clubs that you performed at were gay clubs.
a lot. I mean, all of them, yes. And I
Yes.
did this performance for a release of the Genevieve single, which is my newest kind of like track, but a little bit different for me. It's more of like an in-your-face dance track, which I'm still working on many more tracks like that. But for the club tour, I got different dominatrixes to pull me on stage with like a 30-foot chain, and I go up totally like chained, and I'm getting whipped, I'm getting slapped, spit on, and then I
Well, it's
break
got to
out
be
of the chain.
theatrical. It's got to be theatrical, and certainly, that's going to go over big in a gay club.
Oh yeah, and I mean, of course, it was a combination of like showing off other art forms. I mean, I grew up in New York City with drag and burlesque, and there's just combining these theatrics are so fun.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's really about the performance art for me, and I think that's something I've always wanted to do more and more of. And so it was a really cool opportunity to say like, how extreme can we go here?
I think it's fabulous. Now, the club tour, were you in and around the tri-state area, or did you go all over the country?
It was New York City and Los Angeles is where we started.
How great! How great! So my God, you skipped everybody in between. That's cheating.
I know. I know.
People in between that would have loved to have heard this song and see you perform it.
Well, I lost the receipt to Home Depot for the chains, so I still have them. So at any point, I can pick them back up. Funny
That's so
enough,
funny. You lost the receipt because the plan was, as a struggling artist, you were I've been there myself, Gregory, with clothing and costuming. I would take the tags inside the garments. I know. I'm going to tell you all. So I could take and return it. They make it a little harder now because they put those inventory tags, the plastic on them. Once that thing comes off, they don't want to take that thing back. But you were going to return the chains to Home Depot.
I was gonna say like, oh, this didn't work on my chainsaw, like.
I love it. Right, you always have the old farm boy thing. Suburban farm boy thing that you can
exactly. It's funny. I also for like 2 weeks I had used my gym lock and I lost the key, so I was in like this giant chain necklace from the club tour for like 2 weeks because I didn't want to I couldn't cut it off. There was nothing I had. There was like no pair of scissors big enough for this thing. And
you understand that is the most ridiculous story I've ever heard. You used your gym lock because you didn't want to spend, right? You could have gotten like 4 new locks with keys, all right, for a total of maybe $12, and you would have been fine. But you used your gym lock and then you walked around with it for 2 weeks because you didn't. God, you know what they do at the gym? They have this thing called the Jaws. I don't know if you've ever seen someone gets locked out of their locker. You just didn't want anyone coming at your neck with those things. Yes, you kept it on for 2 weeks.
Your sense of humor is sending me.
I didn't keep the lock on for 2 weeks. First of all, I can't stand, even I wear like rhinestone-y things. I'm a member of the Imperial Court in New York. So when I go to an event, I have to have all rhinestones. But I got to get that thing off my neck when I get home. And half the clasps on the thing, they don't open right away. And I always say to my husband, I'm like, I need you to get this off of me now.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. The anxiety of fidgeting with it.
Right. It is. What do you have on your neck now? That's like hang on, I have to put on my glasses.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, this one has a lot of spikes too. So it's always, I feel the same way about this one. Wow. I got this in, when I was in Paris, which is actually the other spot that I'm still hoping to bring the Genevieve Club Tour to, because half of the song is in French.
Yes, and I got to tell you, I was very, very impressed with that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know he knew French.
I mean, I don't speak French, but Google Translate might.
That's interesting creative choice that you chose to do half of it in French.
So the story behind that track is I was in Paris for the first time alone, and this beautiful mystery of a person in a red trench coat, kind of looking like Carmen Sandiego, was walking down the streets under the fog and mist, and the sound of her heels was created like she was walking in pace. I was so mystified that I was singing behind her footsteps to the song, and I knew it was French, but I didn't speak French, so I was mumbling like my own version of it. So I later,
mon Dieu, mon Dieu, mon Dieu.
You need a feature. If I ever drop the track again, let's go.
Je parle français un petit peu.
Bisous. So I went back that night and I tried my best to like kind of fit it in with using my computer and I was asking French people around the city that week to kind of help me out. Was this making sense? And they were all like, no, but do it anyways. So that was kind of like the tip I got. Was my French was quite terrible, but they loved the enthusiasm. So
you know what? You had me totally convinced, and I'm like, oh, he speaks French too. Oh, I guess this was released in Europe. So you know what? I bought the story hook, line, and sinker. You see? So yes, Juan, could you please play the video for us? It's called Genevieve.
Let's do it.
Alors vous avez remonté également sur la 10, prospecté suite à l'agression qui vient de produire. See
regalait bello, ascension on se lance, où les vents s'élèvent, tout droit parti. Alors au Brésil, au Saint-Vélé, rêver d'orage, que des nuages, couteau silent entre les plus blédants, envie mobile, les nuits des fous, j'ai plein de feux pour notre amour. Genevieve, I try to be cool as you with techno move, burning in the heat. Woe is me, hungry birds will feed. Passion of the night, every single sunrise I go away because I'm shy. Softly I will speak to my Genevieve. I try to be cool as you with techno move, burning in the heat. Woe is me, hungry birds will feed.
Wow. I just love it. I think it's a fabulous song.
It's one of my favorite pieces of work. Funny enough, I don't know if you noticed, this necklace is featured in the video.
Is it? I know. I wasn't going to say anything. Well, you know what? We get mileage out of our jewelry. So there you go.
We got to. Joan Rivers taught me a lot, and that was one thing.
Right. And Joan Rivers is iconic. So you recorded this when? This was March of this year?
Yes, it was recorded over both in Paris and in Brooklyn, and it was actually directed by my sister, whose name is Genevieve.
Oh my God, I totally love this. And that was the sister that you used to steal the Polly Pocket dolls from.
Yes.
Now we're coming full circle right here today.
Full circle, so Never Let Me Live It Down. But it's funny because the track is quite like confident and but to me, when I was writing the song, my sister's very much like me, like more like inner confidence. And when I was writing the track in Paris, this person, I was thinking about like how both me and my sister are kind of these quiet, like silent, but like deadly confidence.
I was going to say silent, but deadly types. Yeah. Where the power is inside.
Exactly.
And out in this.
And you know? I knew she's done a lot of my music videos, and I also know that she really struggles as a female in the videography and director world, surrounded by men. It is a tough business, and she is she has such a talent. So I would
have had your sister come on with you tonight. First of all,
you would have loved her. She's in Venice, probably skating right now.
That are both talented in one family, and then they end up working together. That is absolutely awesome. She's also in New York, right?
She's in Venice, and I think she's rollerblading or roller skating as we speak, with probably some like crazy earrings and some sequins. You two would be besties.
Oh my God. But she's having a better lifestyle because she's in Venice rollerblading.
Yeah. Do you skate at all?
Not anymore. I used to. So because I work all the time. I model and I do lots of emceeing, stand-up comedy and all of that. I had to really face it, rollerblading. I look like a goddamn praying mantis. And you know what? It's not for everybody. Yeah, right. Like you've seen people that are like that. Their blades are kind of going and their knees are together. And I'm like, you don't look great doing this. So no, I don't. I did try though. I want you to know, Gregory, I want to instill confidence in you. I really did try. I used to go to Central Park and I would try and do the loop, and it was like torture. My heart would just like be pounding because I knew I was going to end up falling. And every time I would go down so hard, but God bless your sister. She directs these videos and she's in Venice Beach rollerblading right now while we're talking about her. So, wow.
Yeah, really, shout out to the LA Skate Honeys. They're a very sweet group. We both kind of found rollerblading and roller skating during the pandemic. That was one of those things. I'm like you. I'm not great, but I'm trying to get better because the goal is I would love to deliver pizzas on rollerblades to Hollywood homes for my next song. So,
no, I want you to be a mega star that's booked in clubs eating pizza. with fine wine, not delivering it to Hollywood celebrities. I don't want you rolling up to the Kardashians and going, pizza delivery. Actually, though, you could do it with a song.
Well, that was the thought, is maybe
Right.
if I leave a little CD in the pizza, or
No, I was right. Hand them the CD. You know what? I think we have a hook here. So, what did you do during the pandemic? I always ask people how they coped during the pandemic.
So I met my lovely boyfriend a couple weeks before, and I stayed up with him in the place that I'm currently living in suburbia, which a lot of my music videos are based around the neighborhood that he lives in currently.
How cool.
And speaking of Ken dolls, I can't even take credit, because I think between us, is actually a Ken doll.
He is a Ken doll. He wasn't the one in the pink, the Ferrari plastic
In the Barbie
Ferrari
video, that's him.
Oh yeah, he's a looker. He is definitely a Ken. Wow, that's great.
Oh yeah, it was funny because I wrote the song prior, originally for this female pop artist that I won't name, but they didn't think it fit on their album, and I started, toying with the idea. Oh my God, toying, pun right there.
I got it. It was double entendre, but I just kind of let that one fly over.
I was like, what if this was, instead of for a Barbie, for a Ken doll that's closeted? Right. And it was great knowing that my boyfriend's also an actor, and my God, when I met him, just like the way he even stands outside with his arms out like this, I was like, this is
like, I know. I saw even in the video, when I saw the video, I'm like, God, he really has that whole Ken thing going down.
Oh, and he wasn't even trying. That was him on just a Tuesday.
Just wow, that's like really funny. Well, you are onto something here, because this whole Barbie Ken thing is it is the most brilliant, because we can talk about branding, right? Because we're in the entertainment industry and everyone is looking, you got to have a gimmick. Mattel was really falling off the shelves, not doing well. There was a Barbie script. I'm fascinated by this because I love marketing.
I've been listening to a lot, so I want to hear what you have to say.
There was a Barbie script before this that Amy Schumer was supposed to do with Anne Hathaway, and that got dumped. All right. And then Mattel brought in this an Israeli CEO, and the guy is like not really about toys, but he's a marketing genius. And then the script came around, a different one. I don't know how Greta Gerwig got connected to it, but she and oh my God, her name, who's the star?
Oh, Margot, which is
Margot
basically
Robbie. Margot Robbie is brilliant, because she's got it all going on. She, of course, has her own production company because she's smart. No one's going to put that girl out to pasture when she's past her prime. She's going to make a fortune doing films. So she hooked up with Greta Gerwig, and then you got the guy from Mattel, and the rest was magic. But it really rebranded Mattel in such a bigger way, because Barbie had fallen by the wayside. We've gone through Me Too. You can't, have that as an icon with like enormous boobs and legs that go on forever, and then getting into the whole Me Too thing wouldn't work, and they had competition from the Bratz dolls. So the brand was really going by the wayside. But look what happens. It shows you how big you can go. To me, one of the best groups in Gay Pride, because I was one of the announcers this year in New York, they had a whole Barbie thing, the float, everyone was dressed in pink. It made you look, and it made you smile, Gregory, and everyone needs to smile now.
I was so happy to see how many artists, even indie like myself, who has done the Barbie theme way before this movie, and to see so many other queer artists who have a song that's inspired by the fascination of their childhood and toys. Right. It's kind of amazing. Like, I feel like almost every one of my friends has some kind of track that is kind of explored this before. Funny enough, my boyfriend's parents helped me build a life-size Barbie box that I'm going to try to bring to Washington Square Park to just get people to, have some fun photos and like show off.
Oh, you have to let me know when you're there, because I'm based out. Yes. Are you kidding? I heard photo op. I am like there. I am
Oh,
the selfie queen, and I will bring people. We will rock that Barbie box. That is such a cool idea to do.
Oh yeah, because I mean, of course, the bandwagon. I would love for people to know about the Plastic Ferrari song that I've written. I think it
It's
would
a
be
perfect
perfect
hook
for the
for you,
movie.
right?
And so I just think, why not? People are going to want a photo in the box. You just got to listen to my
Absolutely.
song.
Right.
So
Right. Absolutely. And you can also give out CDs while you're there. Everybody likes to get something.
$1 too. It's funny. My favorite thing making that video was buying clothing that was doll size and then trying to find a way to replicate it as a human. And it's like
Right.
watching the production for the Barbie movie and their attention to detail. It's all from when you were a kid, because when you're pretend, you have nothing else going on. Like you're just thinking about all these little details. And
I have heard that the details in the movie are absolutely blow away. Now, have you heard anyone come off negative about it yet?
a lot of, from what it seems like, the press likes to kind of examine the dualities of the movie. And
Right.
I'm sure from the few things I've listened to, Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig were very interested about leaning into Barbie's past and talking about it. And that's what made it, such an iconic brand, is like, the things that they've gone through and not trying to necessarily hide maybe some of the mistakes. I think that's a really smart idea, because like you said, Barbie and same with like Ken, like for a long time as a kid are inspiring. And then maybe you kind of grow up and learn, like, maybe it's not the best role model, but it's maybe what you had. And so I think that's still worth looking at, the whole spectrum. And I'm really pumped to see it.
And I think it's a very fun film. I think we need, films that poke fun, films that are funny, films that take things that we loved when we were kids and find a great way to bring them into now, And I love
Oh,
it.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a great idea. So tell me what you're working on next in suburbia.
So in suburbia, I am kind of working on a follow-up to the first album that I put out during the pandemic, Sad Magic, which was kind of nostalgia core, tears of my suburban childhood, sad boy but dreamy vibes. And
the sad boy of the internet, the iconic sad boy I love that phrase. I actually memorized it.
You're so sweet. I need more tears for that quote, but I do get pretty sad, just maybe not with iconic people like yourself. And I was in, I've been going to LA a lot. It's kind of like another pop music capital. And the whole Hollywood scene, it was fascinating to me. And it was kind of like a Wizard of Oz, kind of like the Barbie movie. Like it just felt like this unexplored opportunity. And the first time I went, I was kind of discovering, a lot about myself. I was going through some confidence, seeing so much happen out there. And speaking of plastic, there's a lot of plastic in Hollywood, and it all kind of accumulated. I was crashing pretty hard from the experience. And to top it off, I had a terrible car accident at a red light. A car hit us at like 60 miles an hour.
When did this happen? When was this?
This was about a year ago.
That is really recent. Wow.
It was bizarre, the perspective I had, because luckily, thank God, no one was hurt.
Thank God.
But I had kind of a very badass awakening. I watched kind of this feeling of nerves leave me, because I just had this life or death experience. And it was so much more about like, what could I do with the moments that I know I have? And it really inspired this next album, which is all about this car crash and waking up kind of as a different person. And so
it's an epiphany. This car crash was an absolute epiphany.
Yeah, it's very Flames, and every track on it has to do with cars. There's a track called James Dean. So I'm still like exploring characters around nostalgia that have been influenced by this kind of world. Hollywood, car crashes, Flames, and suburbia is kind of like the tie-in of it all, because I'm back there now living with this kind of reckless energy and I don't know what to do with it. So it's going into a
Because
really
you're
cool
in
album.
Mediocreville. I'm not putting it down, but suburbia, it is. It's lovely, for some people. My daughter did it for a couple of months and almost lost her mind. She's in Brooklyn now. We're similar that way. But yeah, it's safe, it's neat, it's tidy. It's not that drama doesn't go on, but it's just a more predictable atmosphere. And I think for you as an artist, it's really stirring up all this other stuff inside of you.
Yeah, I will say there is nothing like a morning walk looking at bunnies. I have to give suburbia that credit. But it also paints a canvas of dystopia for me. And that's
Right.
something
It
I'm a really like happy-go-lucky person on the outside, but there's something dark about the creative force behind me also. And I'm finding it, like you said, cookie cutter and American Dream can also become like
Yeah,
American Nightmare very
right.
fast.
Right. No, exactly. Did you say on your morning walk you see bunnies?
There, girl, it is the zoo. We got bunnies, deer. The squirrels look like fat and sassy, like they are living the best life. I
So
want to
I
be one of
guess
these
you
animals.
didn't know that I live in a New York apartment with English Angora rabbits.
No way.
Yeah, they're hopping around right now, even as we speak. And I'm a rabbit person. So I'm like, the minute you said you saw bunnies on your morning, okay, but that's the whole nature thing when you're in suburbia really is inspiring. I
That's
go
a,
out to Pennsylvania, not every weekend anymore because I'm too busy in New York, but when I go out there, that's what it's about for me. It's the wildlife, the wild turkeys, seeing the deer, and it allows you to think and it allows that creative stuff to rise to the surface. New York and Brooklyn and LA, the input can be like boom, 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 and then you can't get the thought out.
oh yeah. I was gonna say, like, how has it been not having that for living in Brooklyn for so long or New York for so long? Because it's almost like I wish you could get the best of both worlds. I would.
I am honestly, I realized I had to realize it during the pandemic when everyone fled to their second homes. I couldn't get out of here. I was figuring out that's how I started podcasting. Oh, what performance? Maybe I can do performances in the street. Oh, I'm going to put together shows with my friends online. I learned how to do all of that. Gregory, you learn music technology. Trust me, the most I could do on a computer was to sign in on an email. And even that was challenging. And I had to become this other person. I had to learn. I still don't love the technical of StreamYard. That's why I have producers on my show. But I had to become another person. And I didn't want to leave New York because I thought if I go elsewhere, if I go to suburbia or the country and I chill, I'll lose my mojo. And
Mhm.
honestly, I know people that happened to. I burst out creatively. I'm a whole other person with a whole new career. And I did it during the pandemic and I was kicking and screaming the whole way. But you know
Wendy
what?
for president. Let's
Yes,
go.
right. I think I
Well,
ran
it is
again.
a really it's something I'm presently struggling with. Being out in suburbia is like, I think if it wasn't for the music, I wouldn't have something to be like. I'm putting all of this in, but at the same time, I am kind of kicking and screaming because I'm so far from removed from the scene that it.
From the scene. You know what, Gregory? I couldn't do it. I can't get off of the island of Manhattan. I can't.
Mm.
I traveled all over the world, and I've made documentaries in remote parts of the world. And I'm going to Alaska in the middle of August. But you know what? The truth is, I can't get out of New York. Even when I go out to Pennsylvania, I can't stay longer than 2 or 3 days. I'm ready to jump out of my skin, and I can tell you that because I know you understand. That feeling.
I'm really excited to send you this EP because that's how it sounds. It's such a duality of like this nature and divine gift
I
to
love
be
it.
out here with the whole like I'm going batshit crazy. But I
Right.
mean, at the same time, I remind myself like this is also such a cool gift and it's temporary. Like if I needed to change, I have that. I think that's something that we
That's what I
all.
was going to tell you. Right. I'm sure, you're creating your work. You have the work that you've done. You're getting your name out there. And, the suburban thing is just a temporary thing. It's where you're living right now. and you're still creating. But my question is, what's involved with getting on the performance club circuit and getting Genevieve played everywhere that you go?
Oh yeah, that is still an ongoing mission. I am
Have
really
you been at Red Eye yet?
No, we should go.
No, well, so more than should go, you should be booked there. So I don't know do you have a manager handling you?
Not at the moment. And that's the other tough part is like, anyone out there listening, I am self-independent and looking for management. It's always, the beauty and struggle of an indie artist. And,
Right.
I feel like that's kind of like the next step for me if this all works out and goes well.
So when you did your club tour, how did you promote it? How was it promoted?
So I was just promoting by myself. I would be going out, getting the booking on my own and just using whatever means I could to help, film the video to then give them an understanding of like, what are we going to try to do? And then we started with Le Poison Rouge, which was really good about giving us like this huge chance because I had performed there before to do this.
And that's a very cool. I know them. They're very, very cool. Yeah.
And so I showed up with my friend Matt, who was my dominatrix for the evening, and people lost their minds to this performance. And thank God it was recorded by like 700 iPhones. And so I started taking that footage and just sending it to any club that would be willing to look at it and say, let's book you for this performance. So I'm really excited to keep going with this, but I'm also, on the album, I have a follow-up song. It's like the big brother to this Genevieve track, and it's Gregorian monk themed. Oh yeah, it explores the Catholic boy school side.
Right, because that's Catholic boy is where we started, right? We started with the Catholic boy. So when can we expect the album?
So I'm going to start dropping singles starting September. And
Cool.
I think it's just going to keep going until the 5 singles are up every couple, like 6 weeks. So I'm expecting to drop the album at the top of the new year. And who knows, maybe I will shave my head like a monk for the last big single.
And I'm not going to even ask what that last single is about. I'm just going to be left with this monk image.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, it's been an interest. I should talk also. I used to have, playing piano alone in the chapel. I used to think when I was a kid too, that I had a past life as a monk, and I would line up my Beanie Babies and we would all be in silence. And like, I would play drone and sing Gregorian chant for them. And
Oh my God. You said Gregorian chant. You don't know how much I love them. Guess what, Gregory? We are down to the wire. We got 1 minute.
Oh,
everything you want to get out there. Where can people find you?
People, if you are listening and you're interested in a little Gregory Dillon music, Spotify, I think, is the best place to go. It's the thing that is kind of the hub for everything that I am putting out creatively as an artist. But I would also say YouTube for the music videos. I love aesthetic, and TikTok is where you're going to see kind of like the humorous side of me.
Yep.
Instagram is kind of where I get to like mingle with fans. So there's
You're really easy to find, by the way, because I was able to access you everywhere. Not everybody is. Oh, one last thing I always do on my show. I always have you look in the camera and say, cheese, one more, and one more. Great. We're good. Gregory, I love it. Thank you so much. You have to keep me on your radar. We know how to connect now. And let me know when you're doing Washington Square.
I am going to get you out for that Barbie box in probably a week's time.
Barbie box or bust.
Yes.
Barbie box or bust. Yes.
I'm also getting a screen grab too for our.
Okay, cool.
I love you. You are iconic. I can't just wait to have this friendship go on forever.
Absolutely, positively. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight, and we will be back next week. Have a wonderful week and enjoy the hot, hot, hot weather. Woo! Good night, everyone. Thank you, Gregory Dillon.
Bye, Wendy. Bye, everyone. Bye.